May 1942, during the height of World War II, the American public is thrown into a panic after an unknown flying machine is sighted over Los Angeles. With the United States recently attacked by the Japanese, the people are already on edge when the military announces that it has shot down hostile aircraft flying over the city. But was this really the case? Or were these simply the figments of an overactive imagination? Hi, everyone. Today we are exploring another classic tale of unexplained aerial phenomena from our past in the Battle of Los Angeles. Join us next week for more tales of the unexplained. In the early morning hours of May 1942, the United States was at war with Japan, Germany, and Italy. Following the attack on Pearl Harbor nearly 6 months earlier, the U.S. was on high alert for any possible attacks. Fighter planes patrolled the skies day and night for any sign of enemy aircraft. The American people were also doing their part to help out in any way they could. Blackouts had been imposed over cities and towns across the country, and citizens were warned to report any suspicious aircraft immediately. At around 8:30 p.m., 2 men driving along the streets of Los Angeles noticed several strange bright lights dancing in the dark sky above them. Thinking nothing of it, they continued on their way until the lights suddenly changed course and headed directly for downtown L.A. Alarmed, the 2 men quickly drove to a nearby fire station where they reported what they had seen to the authorities. Soon, thousands of people were flooding the streets, all looking up at the sky and reporting similar sightings of bright, shiny lights descending upon the city. As if this wasn't enough, many people reported seeing a large, silver-colored disk floating silently above the city. It appeared to be huge, about 60 feet in diameter, and was hovering silently above the streets of downtown Los Angeles. According to witness reports, the craft was surrounded by smaller flying machines that seemed to be herding the larger one towards its destination. The scene was reminiscent of a scene from a science fiction movie, and people poured into the streets in order to get a better look at the spectacle above them. After circling downtown Los Angeles several times, the main craft, along with several smaller ones, landed in a vacant lot near the California Institute of Technology. Excited crowds gathered around the perimeter of the lot and saw several strange-looking humanoid figures emerge from the craft. Standing only between 3 and 4 feet tall, the aliens were dressed in metal suits and carried weapons that resembled shiny metal rods. Several eyewitnesses reported seeing the creatures walk into a nearby sewer drain and disappear. Others said they saw a beam of light shoot up from the manhole and heard a loud explosion. Suddenly, the area was filled with smoke and nobody emerged from the sewers. The flying machines also disappeared, and the entire incident seemed to be nothing more than a fever dream. An estimated 1,500 people witnessed this bizarre event firsthand, but news of the incident didn't reach the public for several days. By the time the newspapers caught wind of the story, the official line was that the incident had been nothing more than a dream or a mass hallucination. Of course, the government couldn't have any of its citizens running around in a panic because of a UFO sighting, so the story was quickly swept under the rug. However, things were not what they seemed. Official reports tell a very different story from the one the witnesses told, and the truth is somewhere in between. According to what was officially released, the 2nd and 3rd Air Forces intercepted a total of 5 hostile aircraft that evening. 3 were shot down over the ocean, and 2 were driven off. In fact, the military even went as far as to say that a few of the planes may have made it inland, but they most likely crashed in the mountains north of Los Angeles and should be recovered the following day. To put the minds of the civilians at ease, authorities announced that the downed aircraft were most likely just a B-24 Liberator bomber that had lost its way. But all of this was a lie. No aircraft were intercepted that night, and no planes went down in the mountains north of Los Angeles, at least according to the official reports. What really happened to those planes that were supposedly shot down? Well, there's evidence to suggest that they weren't shot down at all. Following the alleged incident, Lieutenant General John L. Williams ordered that no one was allowed to talk about the incident and he personally oversaw the removal of the debris from the crash site. This led many people to believe that the military had covered up the truth about the incident and was doing everything they could to hide evidence of extraterrestrial activity from the public. However, that isn't necessarily true either. You see, what actually happened was that the military had intercepted 3 bombers that night, but they were American B-24 Liberator bombers that had strayed dangerously off course. These bombers were returning from a training mission off the coast of Mexico when they accidentally entered American airspace. As soon as they realized what had happened, the pilots attempted to turn around and head back out to sea, but they were intercepted by American fighter planes and ordered to land immediately. This wasn't some sort of secret cover-up. It was simply a case of miscommunication during wartime. But here's where things get interesting. According to the official reports, the planes landed without incident, and the crews were detained for questioning. But this isn't what happened at all. All 3 planes were forced to make emergency landings, and the crews were held for questioning. One pilot claimed that his plane had been hit by enemy fire, but he couldn't remember exactly where. He and his crew insisted that they had been attacked by Japanese bombers, but the military never looked into the matter further. They simply labeled the pilot as a possible war hero and sent him on his merry way. Today, we know that this incident was most likely caused by a combination of factors, including fog and poor visibility, as well as the inexperienced crew members. But at the time, no one knew this, and the pilot who had supposedly been in a dogfight with Japanese bombers was treated like a celebrity. So what about those mysterious lights in the sky? Well, they were almost certainly caused by fireworks being set off in celebration of the 4th of July holiday. These fireworks displays were a common sight in Los Angeles at the time, and it's entirely possible that they were mistaken for something more sinister. This leaves us with one final question: what about the alien bodies? Well, there's no evidence that any alien bodies were ever found. The story of the 3 to 4 foot tall humanoids wearing shiny metal suits is most likely the product of an overactive imagination. It's entirely possible that the witnesses saw construction workers who were using welding torches. These would have looked like shiny metal rods, and the welding masks would have made the workers appear to be wearing helmets. As for the supposed landing in the sewers, it's possible that the witnesses simply saw a group of workers entering a manhole. In reality, the Battle of Los Angeles was nothing more than a case of mistaken identity, miscommunication, and wartime paranoia. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other places in the world where aliens might be visiting. Maybe. Do you believe that aliens have visited Earth? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, make sure to subscribe and follow for more great videos. And with that, I'll see you next time.